So, good morning. The session, what we would like to make today is about Wattify, invested with impact. We are going through the overall process of Wattify, starting with a big picture, why we created Wattify, and how actually we have implemented Wattify. The technical details will follow in a session what we are going to do this afternoon, German time, so evening Singapore time. But before we start, I would like to ask a short introduction of the team here.
May I start?
Yes, we start with you.
Good morning or good afternoon. I'm Moritz. I'm from Sense, Steag Solar Energy Solutions. I'm responsible in Wattify for the selection of the projects, the strategy and sales for the project generation on the platform.
My name is Michael. I'm a co-founder of YOUKI and I'm responsible for financials, organization and the license and within Wattify.
Good morning, good afternoon to Singapore and to everybody else out there. My name is Andre. I'm the CEO of Steag Solar Energy Solutions.
Well, and hello from my side. My name is Martin Stusafiewicz and I'm the co-founder of YOUKI, and I'm going to moderate the next up to 60 minutes between us here. Okay, perfect. So let's start. What we do with Wattify, we have already explained in some of the sessions before, and in our videos we are connecting two sides of a market. We are connecting renewable energy assets on one side, so either greenfield or brownfield projects from project developers with investors on the other side. We are bringing several content together from a technical side, from a regulatory perspective, and from a technical blockchain perspective in order to make this happen. So I would like to start with a broad picture, what Wattify or how Wattify is actually liquefying this renewable energy asset, and then go a step deeper in explaining how we are realizing that with single bits and pieces. And we have prepared an online screen so we can draw some content to make it much more clear. Wattify, the way how we implement it is rather complex. The complexity comes from our intention or our idea to take utmost transparency between the project and the investor. So we are using technology, and I'm going to show you later with my brother together how we are going to do that. We're using technology to take data in real time from the renewable energy asset, and we bring it directly peer-to-peer to an investor, and we are connecting in such a way with the technology the end-to-end market. So this is the way how we are actually executing that. Before starting, maybe I could ask Moritz to explain a little bit how a greenfield project, just in big terms, is stepped up. So I have a piece of land. I would like to have solar, and when I come to Sense.
Yeah, that would be great. The main thing is we have to make sure that you're at least able to build the project on your ground. So we need to get all the licenses and approvals we need. We need to check the ground, and of course we need to make sure that we have a grid connection, so we are able to feed in the electricity to the public grid and get refunds for the electricity.
So you are checking all the surrounding parameters to make and all the permissions what you need to have in order to really establish this power plant.
This is part of the so-called project development, so starting from the green or brown field to make a project ready to build. So have everything you need, the planning ready, the permissions ready. So this is part of the project development we do from Sense worldwide, together with partners or on our own, depending on the country we're in. It makes sense to have people involved who are from that country you are, or who have a local network to make it smoother, to make it happen. But in general, yes, this is project development. And once we're ready for that, we know how to erect the system on that ground. We know how the soil is. We know where the grid connection point is, and then we're able to start with a substructure, the table, so-called, where we put on the modules. We have the cabling. We have the inverters changing electricity from DC to AC. We have the grid connection. We have the transformators, and then we're ready to feed electricity to the grid. And what we also need is a lot of communication stuff to make sure that we are able to steer when electricity is fed in or not fed in due to some restrictions in the grid. We have the communication part, we have the metering part, which is a crucial part for our product actually in Wattify. So we have a lot of smaller items within that PV park, but in general it's quite easy as substructure, module, inverter and cabling.
Okay, so the establishment and the way from planning until building this plant is done in sense in-house. But before it comes to the point that you actually send your guys out there and are building that, there is the moment when we talk about finances, when we need to have a structured way, right? Could you, Andre, explain as CEO of Sense a little bit about that part before we actually in our mind build the plant and then say how we integrate Wattify?
Well, to put it in a nutshell, what we are doing is we're taking care that from green field or an empty roof, in the end there's a bankable project. Having financing ready, having taxes approved, having a legal structure that everything is in place, that you can feed in electricity into the grid. For financing a project, you need a part of senior debt and you need equity. And what usually happens in all these projects, that someone is developing a project, is building a project, and then needs to sell it off to some financial investor. What we are intending to do here is to give these great assets, fighting against climate change, basically, give these assets into the hands of the crowd, into the hands of everybody, because otherwise you're taking a high valuable, it's basically a gold nugget. It's a stable PV asset that will produce energy over at least 30 years. So there are no doubt, there are little downtimes. There's basically a high grade of or high security in terms of forecasting the energy. Sun is always there. So what we are doing here is to take this asset and let it be financed by the crowd, let it be owned by the crowd, and not bringing it to banks and financial investors.
So the usual steps are that usually this big chunk as a project as a whole is usually sold or being invested by a single party usually nowadays, right?
Yes, usually it's we're selling it off to institutional investors, big funds, multilateral banks, etc.
And they have also very high, I would assume, very high interest in exploiting this investment to have a very high return on investment.
Absolutely.
Yes.
At least high single, but usually double-digit IRR rates.
Yeah. And it's currently blocked for private investors to have smaller shares into such an investment opportunity.
Well, it's pretty difficult. If you, as a private person, want to invest in such an asset, you either have a lot of money, and we're talking about millions for the big utility scale plants, or you're going to your bank or a financial advisor who then tries to find a fund where you can invest. So the advisors, the banks, and the institutional funds are dragging away money, and so what stays in the end is a very, very low return for the people who wants to invest. And this is basically from your pocket or your wallet to the investment in the asset. There are so many intermediates in the usual process, and we are cutting that short, taking away all this drainage of money in the process, and creating a direct link between your wallet and the real asset.
Coming back to, you mentioned nuggets, right? So in order to have a nugget, Sense takes care about all the surrounding parameters, right? So as a non-familiar investor, how do I rely that this is really a nugget, what you're selling on the platform?
Sense is active in this business since 2004. We are part of one of the biggest German energy utilities. We have built hundreds of thousands of megawatts, gigawatts already. None of them has ever failed. So what we are taking care of, that from the green field, the investor has a reliable, bankable, technically stable, financially stable, legally stable, from the tax perspective, stable investment, 100% secure.
Perfect. And this approach, what we just detailed, can be replicated in any jurisdiction. So we can do this in Germany, in Italy, in Colombia, wherever. Right?
Everywhere. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So we have a gold nugget and we are crashing it into gold dust so that we can distribute it in the different ways. Michael, how did we, or how did you and the team look at this, how to make this happen? I mean, in broad terms, what do we need for that to make it from this big plant in this?
At the end, we need the meter information. It's the energy production metering, and this is the crucial part of it. You have to know every single production number, the figures, every day, every quarter hour, in order to calculate the profit on each power plant.
So just to recap that, so we have the power plant, and the power plant is actually the asset, and the main point is the energy production. It's all nailed down on how many kilowatt hours actually is produced.
Right.
And this is the information what Michael is talking about, which will be the baseline for all things we are going to do on Wattify. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So how do we, you said about meters, so can you explain it for the fintech community, what that actually means? What do we do there?
It's the same as in every power plant. You have a meter which counts the electricity production for the grid, the grid connection, and this is the essential part of it. So for every kilowatt hour which is fed into the grid, you get a return from the utility.
And who is getting this return?
The owner of the PV plant. This is normally the owner of the PV plant. It depends on. But I don't want to make it so complicated. Maybe make a short drawing and have a look at it.
Yes. So, okay. In the next step, we are going to sketch the way how it is done. I'm going to insert. You talked about a meter. I have already prepared a small picture, what I'm going to insert, so that we start. It's called Smart Meter Gateway. Maybe before we start to draw, you could explain what the Smart Meter Gateway is, and I will put it in the meantime inside.
The Smart Meter Gateway is a technical device which is constructed or defined as a kind of a data hub. In the former times, the metering system was just one-way directed. It means that it was analog a few years ago, and then when it becomes digital, it was possible to send the metering data in one way to the utility. So nowadays, for the German called Energiewende, for the transition of the energy the production in Germany to renewable energies, they decided to integrate a so-called smart meter gateway, which is a kind of a data hub. So you can not only register the data from the power plant, but you can go and send steering commands as well. So this smart meter gateway will be implemented in at least 14 to 15 million metering devices in Germany, and it's kind of it's a basic for our model, for our technical model.
And this is a standardized device.
It is standardized.
Is it produced with Wattify, or where is it coming from?
There are 8 manufacturers at the moment. 4 are actual licensed for selling these devices, and it's mandatory for certain power plants up from beginning from a certain level of power production.
Okay. So I would propose that we make a small drawing how this is interconnected, and I'm going to insert the picture.
Okay. First, let's make a power plant. This is a PV. If you can't see it, this is this should demonstrate just a photovoltaic module. So we have lots of them here, and usually this energy goes into a transformation station. Yeah, and here there is the so-called smart meter gateway inside.
So I have succeeded. So this is the device we talk about. Okay. Good.
So this is the grid, yeah, where the power plant is feeding in the electricity. So actually the energy is flowing from the power plant into the grid, into the public grid. At this position there's a smart meter, and attached to it there's a smart meter gateway, which is having the information how much energy is produced. So over the day, this should be a sun, there's a different level of production. Yeah? So it's of course in the sunny time in the afternoon there is a lot of more produced energy than in the evening or at night, like nothing. So it counts the energy at every 15 minutes and gives information from the meter over the smart meter gateway to the utility. There's information line in it.
So just to understand correctly, so the smart meter gateway is capturing all the information from a plant and is delivering this to the utility for the purpose of billing and for invoicing.
Exactly. It's just a data hub. The energy is going through the normal grid, yeah, and the smart meter gateway is just a data hub and gives the information about the fed-in energy.
And this data hub is secure, and I can trust the data hub that it doesn't measure something else, but only the information which are coming from the plant.
Yeah, the smart meter gateway itself, it's a very high secure infrastructure. It's part of the critical infrastructure in every country, especially in Germany. We took a lot of effort in order to define all the technical specifications on it, because once you have access to the smart meter gateway, you have not a lot of information. You have a lot of possible, let's say, an attack angel to the grid as well. So the German BSI, it's a responsible ministry on that, made it very secure. So we rely with Wattify or YOUKI on a very secure hardware solution.
Okay, so I end up with a power plant which is operating, producing energy, and there is information coming from this power plant to a utility. Great.
Yeah.
What happens next?
The technology behind is that we not only using one smart meter gateway, we are connecting several smart meter gateways to a so-called zone. So let's imagine that you have a lot of smart meter gateways. In different power plants. So what we are doing actually is that we bring all this smart meter gateways, starting from a number of 25 into one zone, and use it as a blockchain zone. So each of these smart meter gateways contains the blockchain node itself, and we combine 25 of them to a node network.
Okay.
This is essentially the YOUKI network, what established has been established on the hardware of this smart meter gateway.
I think this is a crucial point to say. This is something YOUKI brings into the smart meter infrastructure from your side, which has been developed by YOUKI. And so this is the let's say the added value you bring to the smart meter to make the whole blockchain thing happen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So in this moment we have now the data which are stored in a blockchain, and which make the data trustworthy, and I can use the data for innovative business models now. Correct?
Correct. I think this is the point where especially Andre and I got somehow electrified by saying, okay, we have this proven reliable data from the grid infrastructure, added with some technology on top from your side to bring this together and to combine the one thing, the really the critical infrastructure with something additional. So it's not only the smart meter, which is already quite smart, but some even more smartness added to it by your module. And this is where we figured out, okay, it is more than just bringing kilowatt hours to the utility and measuring how much is fed into the grid, but also now we have the possibility, for instance, running a blockchain on those technologies and on those computers actually installed all over the place in the different PV plants.
So now, bridging into the fintech world, I have now the data in the blockchain. How actually do I connect now the investor? How is this happening? Because I understand now the plant is there, energy is produced, data are stored, and I have the data now in a secure blockchain. And the blockchain is built up essentially by assets themselves. So the assets have the blockchain. So now I have the data. But make me understand how I can now actually connect the investor here.
Let's do a step back first before. Probably it's a good idea if you explain, Michael. Usually, it would be what would happen if you invest in the let's say traditional way. If it is possible, if it was possible to invest as a private investor in such a system, there would be a company. Let's call it Solar One, GmbH or whatever, which is a company generating electricity, selling it to someone, usually the utility or to the public grid, to the authorities, getting money for it, then providing a balance sheet by the end of the year, and then distributing the money to the investors. So there's no direct link for you as an investor to say, okay, this is my PV plant, and I got the interest rate from the PV plant on a, let's say, daily basis, like Michael described. But at the year end or even early beginning next year, you will get the refund for it. This would be the normal way.
Standard model.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So, and there's a lot of trust involved, I suppose. I mean, you can make a lot of checks, but as a small investor, I think I'm not so sure if I would understand all the details, what make a gold nugget and what make only a gold-coated stone.
Yeah, and
right?
you should also wait till the yearly balance sheet is done and approved, and there's no, as I said, no direct link which we can somehow improve here in the technical model that we developed based on your technology.
And this model was a lot of manual steps, right? So you talked about balance sheets and so on. It's a yearly basis. So there's a long delay until I see actually my returns. So I need first of all to trust a lot, and maybe also to screen very well to find the project what I would like to have. If I did that, I would need to wait and trust that you, Moritz, you don't budget a Porsche into the SPV. So there's a lot of trust involved.
Absolutely, yes. And a lot of time as well, and a lot of paperwork.
Okay. So and now if Wattify comes in, we are taking the same model with smart meter gateway in the blockchain, and then how do we connect the investors?
I would suppose you explain it.
Okay, let's do a data view. Okay, first let me show you the way of the energy. I think this is crucial. Yeah, the energy flows into the grid. So here is the energy network. So the data, the energy data is going from the smart meter gateway as shown here to the utility. So, and what I described before is that our blockchain node is on top of each of these smart meter gateways and forms this blockchain network here. So we are using different stacks on this blockchain nodes. We have a project with Cosmos with this zone concept. We have Ethereum stack as well. So we are totally open to the stack. So as I described, we establish a blockchain node network here, and what we do, we deploy smart contracts on the blockchain node network. So for example, for this PV plant, this is a Wattify PV plant here, which we're gonna bring to the market. So actually what we do is we deploy a smart contract in the blockchain node network, and all the fundamental data of this Wattify project is set. So it means the feed-in tariff, the amount of hours of the sunshine expected, all the data what you have, what you need to calculate your profit. We deploy it on the network. So and each day there will be made a calculation at midnight. It means at midnight the smart meter, or better the smart contract, knows how much energy is produced every day on this day. What are the costs? What's inside this data into the smart contract, like fundamental data, the cost of operating and maintenance, all this for insurance and stuff. So it can calculate the profit of each day. So at the end, we must know just who was investing into this into this Wattify project. So I think we should later on make a drawing on the business plan, or better on the blockchain.
Let's do it. So, but just to
token flow.
to recap and to just that we understand us correctly. So I have a trusted device. I have a trusted built plant, which all fundamental information I use the trusted device to collect information. I have a smart contract which is tamper-proof, which has all the information inside, and I use this as a baseline for connecting investors, right? On the step how do we connect investors, I think we will discuss later as well, right? But so we take the trust from the plant into the device, into the smart contract, and then forward. So the smart contract is aware of everything what is happening on the power plant, right? So it's a notary, basically. A notary which is executing this information.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the end of the day, what we want to describe is that the investor is speaking directly to his asset. It means we show later on how this works, but what we want to implement is a direct connection between the investor and his asset. So in this, what you need is access to the blockchain network, access to the asset, and being able to see the calculation and all the production of energy, as well as the profit calculation.
Okay. So as an investor, from an investor point of view, I mean, you drew the blue line. I can see the data being processed. I see what's happening in the plant, and this is my insurance that I have indeed a gold nugget, and I can see, I suppose, I don't have to wait a complete year, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the magic somehow behind it. You're directly linked to the asset. You're directly linked to your PV asset, or whatever it is. Might be wind, geothermal, water, whatever. You have a direct access. You see what happens. You see the impact you're doing actually, if you're focused on that, or you see the return on invest being produced actually. You have a blockchain being literally being implemented in the PV park, so being supplied from the electricity perspective, also with green electricity, right? Which is an interesting point. And you're directly in the asset. Nothing in between. You directly have the access to what's going on outside.
Okay, understand this part. So the last step, which makes it, so bridge it into the investor. Should we close the last bits and pieces? Because me as an investor, I understand now, I can see the information. I understand that if this is the most trustworthy setup I can imagine, right? You talked in the past about liquefying or a digital asset. I understand now why this asset is digital, because I base everything on digital information. So how do I now participate in that?
I think we should make another
drawing, right?
Yes. Let me just put on the drawing.
Can you scroll? No.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So basically, if we are now putting some hashtags on it, it's basically sustainability, transparency, security, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So far, so good.
So let's go for the token flow, because what we talked so far is everything about the energy network. It's a little bit nerd talk on the energy side. So let's go back to the fintech and the token flow. What we have here, I continue with blue. I continue with the blue color and with the investor. And the investor has, of course, a fiat account, bank account, and for investing, maybe Bitcoin wallets, Ethereum wallets. And now he wants to invest some money. So actually he's transferring some US dollar to a bank account. And a bank account to the special purpose vehicle, what we have seen before. It's, let's call it Wattify 1 PV plant.
The SPV is the company set up for building and operating the PV park, right?
Exactly. This is the owner of the owner of the power plant.
So it is not owned by Wattify. This
Yes.
SPV. This is
It's
this
the
is
emittance.
It's a third party, and they have the ownership rights on the PV plant, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Wattify is the platform bringing together the emittance who owns the asset and the investors who are willing to invest in that asset.
Okay.
This PV plant is of course having this so-called smart meter gateway, what I have shown before, and for us it's a blockchain node. So actually we register the data with an API from the bank, yeah, to see that the money has been transferred to the SPV account from this investor. So we know he wants to participate and invest in the power plant Wattify 1. So what happens now is now we go to the licensed world in the fintech industry. So actually, what we are doing now, we are emitting securities, German licensed securities, electronic securities, by the way, and we will send the investor into his wallet electronic security. To his wallet. What I have not mentioned yet, he needs 2 wallets, of course. When he is registering himself at the Wattify platform, he is getting a wallet for his securities and for his profits, for his yields. So actually, when the money is received in the bank account, the securities are done, emissioned, and sent to the wallet of the investor. So this is very crucial. This part here with the security, it's a new German law. This law is called elektronisches Wertpapiergesetz. It's called electronic security law, and which allows us, beginning from this year, to make a emission of fully licensed securities. Yeah.
So what you do is you take a standard bank account, can be operate or with any type of bank?
Any account.
So we have a fiat bank account provider with a customer, an investor, and from this bank account, the US dollar, euros sent onto an SPV. This SPV bank account, where is that? Does it have to be in the same bank? Or
It doesn't matter. It's just an SPV account, a bank account, a normal bank account.
okay, so on the SPV now the money is received, and the information that the money or the fiat money has been received is sent then to the blockchain in the smart meter gateway on the blockchain. And is the blockchain node, the smart meter gateway, issuing this automatically, or is there somebody involved who is checking and who needs to authorize, or how does it work?
It's automated emissions. So once the money is received and there are still enough securities there in the account, it will be sent automatically.
Okay. And there's no way that somebody can create more securities than possible?
Once a power plant is established in the platform, we of course have to decide, or the client has to decide, the owner of the PV plant has to decide how many securities he wants to make a mission, with what profit rate, in one duration, and so on. So this data are set by the owner, by the emittent of the e-securities.
Okay.
Actually, it is. It's important to know that we will prepare a prospectus or information sheets according to the regulation, according to the electronic security law, which sets all the framework. So, as an investor, you know what you can expect from the plant. What is the total money collected? What is the return? What's the duration? What is the interest rate? Everything like this will be written down in a document, which is then approved, and this data will be put into, or will be actually put into the token. Will be put into the blockchain, and then be considered when creating the token. So it is what does not happen is that we receive money, or the SPV receives money, and then a decision is taken. But once you decide to invest in a project, you already know what you can expect, and then the total framework is put into the let's say electronic world, and then it's proof, it's stable, it's reliable. There can't be made any change anymore. So it's like transferring the regulation into the electronic part of the project.
Okay, understand. So under the hood, all is compliant.
Yeah.
And the way how you do it, you're using a new Electronic Securities Act in Germany to be compliant. And now I have the securities in form of tokens, I understand, in my wallet. So I have now the tokens. What comes next?
So just to mention this again, so we are fully compliant to the German regulator. It's in Germany it's called BaFin. And we issue with a full prospectus for the securities, and therefore we are totally regulated, and this is not a so-called grey fintech market or something like that. So what happens next is this security is held by the investor in his asset wallet, in his Wattify wallet. So it means that the security is held here in the wallet. So as described before, the sun is shining, the energy is produced by the renewable energy. This blockchain node is calculating the profits for each day and knows how many investors are within this power plant and know the shares of the investment. So what this smart contract now is doing, it distributes the profits according to the shares, or according to the securities to the investors. At midnight, it sends the token to the yield. So actually, we have two kinds of tokens. Let's do this another color. So this is the so-called asset token. It represents the security, your investment. And the second one here is the so-called yield token, which is emissioned every night at midnight, and which represents the profit, what you get on your investment.
Okay. So now I understand that every day I get tokens. I get one time for tokens for my investment. Is there an exchange rate, or how do you do that? I mean, how many asset tokens if I insert 100 US dollar?
It depends on the structure. So if we're thinking about a minimum invest of €1, $1, more or less $1, and then we will separate the whole amount of money being collected by €1 or $1, and this leads us to the amount of token
Okay,
we have.
so I can expect I put $100 in and I get 100
Yeah.
token out. Is this a currency, or is this I mean, I get 100 tokens back. Is it unique for this investment, or is it for all investments?
It is the asset token are related to that one project.
Okay.
So if you decide to invest, let's say it's called Wattify 1, if you decide to invest in Wattify 2, you will have to buy a new token to get the right to get the interest rate. So you might accumulate different token in your asset wallet combined with different assets being emitted on the platform. Yes.
Okay, so there is a limited amount of tokens for each plant. So if I'm one of 1,000 investors, I can be sure that there are no more token existing. And if I own this specific token, I have a proof that I'm an investor on that.
Yeah.
Digitally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And all this is protected, compliant with within the electronic securities law.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a manual process which has been fully digitized.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. How do I cash it out? Now I have yield tokens. How do I get my euros or dollars back as an investor?
So, yeah.
No, go ahead.
So, the asset token, as told before, represents the security itself. So this will be held for the duration of this security, like 10, 15 years, whatever. So, and the yield token, the profit is gained every night. So actually what you only have to do is you will send your yield token just back to the wallet from the SPV, and you will get a transfer from the SPV bank account of Wattify, fully automated. So yeah, you can get your money back, or the yield what you gained every day.
So I'm getting the profits back. Do I get my investment back? How did you structure? Is it a type of a loan? Is it a share? How did you structure?
It's type of a loan, and it depends very much how the project or how the financing is structured. So usually, I think you will get the money back at the end of the duration period, and then you will get refunded your investment. But this also depends. There are different possibilities. It depends on the way how you structure the whole asset, how you structure the financing of that SPV, of that Wattify 1 company in that case. So there are different approaches possible. Usual approach that you already see also in the market is the payback at the end of the period, and you will get the whole money refunded, plus the money you got as a return, as an interest rate over the lifetime. So you get the full amount you will get back, paid back at the end, plus the interest rate. There might be different cases, but all this will be known and shown in the prospectus, so you know in advance how the way is designed, how you get your money back.
So do I need to hold this token for my lifelong, or for the duration of a project, or what can I do with it? Can I sell it?
In general, it's possible, yes. Yeah.
So I'm free to sell it. Do I need to ask Wattify or the third party if I would like to sell this?
No, you don't need to ask Wattify for that.
Great.
Let's make it on the drawing as well. So we are under the German law especially, and so what we're not allowed is to do a kind of exchange for many of investors. But what we can do is OTC trading. So this is investor 1 or A,
getting full, right?
Yeah, and we have investor B on this side, and what we can do here, we can perform a trading between for the asset token between between investor A and B. So, but it has to keep it, we have to keep the token within our blockchain network. This is yeah, one of it's the framework of the regulator here in Germany.
Who takes care? I mean, all this AML and KYC requirements and so on is taken care by whom? Is it Wattify involved or
For the money flow, as the normal banks are involved, the banks will take care about all this know your customer, anti-money laundering laws, and of course we have to check as well on the Wattify side. But at the end, if it comes, for example, from a SEPA account in Europe, there's no issue because we can accept money from the whole European Union, as every bank is forced to do all the know your customer checks as well. Regarding Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's a little bit more complicated. Therefore, we need definitely know your customer and AML check by a provider, by a custody provider, like the fintech banks we have in Germany as well. So we can choose one of them. At the end, we just have to ensure that all the money what comes in is routed by a normal licensed bank.
Okay, I understand. So looking at the time, I would like just to go from the deep dive a little bit up again. So Moritz, I now understand what's under the hood. I understood now the technology. I see a power plant, I see the data hub, I see the way how you are storing the data in a blockchain, how you are making tokens out of it, controlled under the regulator, and feed it back to the investor. Do I need to know as an investor all that stuff? How will the product I'm engaging will look like?
Pretty simple. The idea is to leave a lot of the technical processes behind, somehow in the shadow. So meaning we are willing and able to explain if you want to know, but actually most of the investors are looking either for interest or impact or combination of both, which we can provide. I have no clue how my bank operates with my money. I take it from the ATM, or I bring it to them, or I get it from my salary, but I have no idea what happens technically behind it, and actually I don't care what happens. But here we have the possibility to make it fully transparent. If someone is very interested in PV assets or renewable assets in general, in blockchain technology, in the finance part, we can show it. You've seen it on the screen. It's very, very transparent. It's fully explainable. It's reliable. It's fully compliant with the German regulation. But in fact, the front end is as easy as possible. So you have what we think you might be really interested in, and we're looking for feedback on the way how we approach it, and make it very simple, have an onboarding process, have a variety of projects you can choose, you can decide to invest as you know it from other apps as well. So you say, hey, I like to invest, you put in your amount of money, and everything technically is in behind. Obviously we'll have to show you the legal documents, like the prospectus. We have to prove that you've seen it, that you've read it, and you know what it's all about, because it's in the end it's an investment. But we try to make it as smooth as possible, so you might take a deeper look if you want to. So if you're coming from crypto, we will be happy to explain in even more detail how it works. But if you're just willing to invest as easy as possible, you have a dashboard with your wallets, you can go through it, see where I'm invested, what was the turnover I got from those investments, as simple as possible in the app. So I think it is made for, let's say, for both the investor who's looking just for an investment and looking for an investment which is a bit more, a bit closer than a bank fund or something like this, as well as people, coming from crypto, perhaps getting the whole process here, being a bit bored already in the explanation because they know it, but they know how it works, and there comes a lot of trust from that side. And if you have no experience in that, or no experience with financial products, you can anyway rely on the regulation we see here in Germany and which we comply with.
Perfect. So now the structure, what you have shown, and the way how you have built it up, you comply with regulations in Germany, and I suppose that it can be transferred into the European market as such.
Yeah.
Andre, now looking, I mean, I need to involve you now. We have to look now, what can Singapore do? I mean, we have now a product for German and European market. We have assets liquefied in a way which can be now brought to investors. Yeah, your gold dust. How do you want to bring your gold dust to Asia, to Singapore?
Well, it's maybe too easy to say copy-paste, but if we simplify the entire world that has been shown here, it's a regulated asset, a proven asset, what we have, the gold nugget, approved by German, Italian, Spanish, Indonesian, Malaysian, Japanese governments. So they have run all the entire approval processes, check, approved by reputable legal law firms like CMS, DWF, White & Case, etc. Everything checked and approved. Then we're bringing it to a network that has been that is regulated and approved by the highest German authorities, like bank are approved by this concept. So we're on the same level like a regulated bank. And taking this now to Singapore, showing it and say, let's now, Singapore governmental authorities, and this is what we are trying to achieve here. Can we copy paste this to the Asian market, because the potential, the interest of people who would like to invest in renewable assets on an easy way, in an approved and secured way, where they can get back their money on a daily basis, not waiting for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, getting back the money on a daily basis is just something that Singapore, South Korea, Japan, etc. is heavily looking for, and this is what we can present.
And understand that currently, to my understanding, is that investors or investment usually stays within the borders, but with this model now, the investment can cross the borders. Investor from Asia can invest in projects in Germany, in Greece, and whatever, and so the projects can be everywhere, and the investors can be everywhere.
Yes, right. In the past, we had to, or many other investments need to take care of local taxation, etc., cross-border investments. This is making it much more difficult to an investor to invest in this asset. With Wattify, we basically abolish all borders and restrictions. We make PV assets accessible from everywhere.
Now, in the last 3 minutes, looking into Singapore, if you had a wish, what would you, I mean, what is the position of Wattify towards Singapore? Do you want to establish an own entity and go to the market by yourself? Are you looking for partnerships? Or if you could wish for something, how would you like to enter the Singaporean market, almighty?
We can't conquer the world by ourselves alone. I mean, we need partners everywhere. So what we realize now is a stable product for Germany and the European Union. So we are very familiar with the energy side, with all the fintech side, with the regulations, with the certificates necessary. So whenever we enter a new market, we definitely need partners in the energy side, not mostly in the EPC of the photovoltaic power plants, because building power plants is all over the world the same, but for the regulations, for the smart meter gateways, or at least for the metering system, as well as the financial sector. So what we definitely need is partnering up with fintech company, maybe a bank from Asia or Singapore. It depends on. So we're totally open to that.
And understand that these tokens can flow, so they could be also brought to an exchange in Singapore.
Definitely. So in Germany, or Europe, it's quite difficult, because we have a very strict law on that, especially for the exchange rate. But on the other hand, it's a very nice law for the securities as well. But abroad, we can definitely have a token on an exchange somewhere. That's possible.
Fantastic. So to wrap it up, I understand now the concept, the technical concept, how you connect PV plants on the energy side with the fintech world, right? And it's a pretty innovative product. I think a pretty complex product when I see. But you need to bring together a lot of stuff from a technical side, starting at the photovoltaic project planning and the way how you conduct it, regulatory side, from the metering systems, from the fintech regulations to make it a product. And I think at the end we are looking for your mobile app, Moritz, and the end client feedback. That they don't need to understand everything what we have seen here, but that they are eager to invest into this by a very simplified user interface.
I mean, this is the closer look. Now we have to wrap it up in the app, which will be much more limited view, which is good because the user experience will be better. We're keen on starting soon. We are ready. We have the project pipeline ready. We have the regulatory affairs more or less ready. We're looking for the people to pre-register on the web page, and we will come out with that pretty soon. We're working on keeping everyone updated in the social media, on the platform, on our website. So we are ready to take off. And what's important to me, and I think for every one of us personally, it is ready. I mean, the projects are here. The platform is almost there. You can invest starting from €1. So it is. There's no way to stop climate change, but it's a good start to really speed it up and to bring the turnaround, the energy turnaround, in a good position with help of Wattify, for sure.
And that's an important information. It's not an empty nutshell. It's hundreds of megawatt waiting to be presented on the platform, reserved by STEAC Sense, waiting to go online and waiting for the crowd to invest in a sustainable asset.
Perfect. With this last word, which is fantastic, because it leads to our next session, where you go into details a little bit on the Sense side, on the projects.
We will.
I would like to conclude this session. This recording will be available also in the YouTube channel, and everybody sitting here is also available for direct contacts, either via the platform or via the emails. And,
or the website.
Or the website.
Wattify.app.
Exactly. Okay. Then thank you very much for the session. Thank you very much for explaining everything, and I'm looking forward to the next sessions this afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.